All right, boys, pull up a lawn chair, crack open a cold one, and let old Jack tell you something about life. You ever been told as a kid, "Do this, Johnny, and you'll get a gold star"? Well, let me tell you, that was the moment they got you. Hook, line, and sinker. That's when the hamster wheel started turning, and you didn't even have shoes on yet. From the time you were barely out of diapers, you've been chasing approval like a stray mutt chasing the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. And not for the meat, mind you, but for the idea of the meat. That imaginary bone labeled good boy or atta kid. You were just trying to be someone's pride and joy. Problem is, we all got stuck in that loop, and no one showed us the exit. Then came school. Ah, yes, that institution of emotional conditioning wrapped in a chalkboard and fluorescent lighting. You get a B+, and Mrs. Henderson looks at you like you backed over her cat. She doesn't say, "Try harder, Buck." Nah, she hits you with, "I'm disappointed." And let me tell you, disappointment hits harder than your daddy's belt ever did. Not because you failed the math test, nah, because you failed to please. And kids are soft clay. You press into them the wrong way, and they carry that shape into middle age. Now it's 30 years later, you're paying taxes and still secretly waiting for someone to hand you a smiley sticker and say, "Well done, champ." And then, social media. Lord have mercy. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. They're the modern-day high school bathrooms, full of noise, fake smells, and everyone's trying to out-pee each other in lifestyle. You're sitting there eating scrambled eggs and toast, feeling like a chump, while Becky from accounting is in the Maldives on a paddleboard with a smoothie in one hand and a poodle named Chandler in the other. You see that, and your soul takes a nosedive. You start wondering, am I a failure? A fraud? Some background character in the sitcom of life? So what do? You max out your credit card on an iPhone 18 Pro, because Lord knows nothing says, "I've made it," like portrait mode on your oatmeal. You hop on a budget airline to Paris, stare at the hotel pool, and post, "Finding inner peace." Buddy, you ain't finding peace. You're fishing for likes. And when you get them, when Helen from 9th grade homeroom watches your story, man, you light up like the 4th of July. Here you are, 34 years old, an electrical engineer with 2 herniated discs and a Costco membership screaming inside your soul. Helen saw it. Helen from Mr. Carter's bio class saw it. You see the madness? The Stoics warned us about this. Good old Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And Marcus Aurelius, God bless that bald-headed Roman, he told himself every day, don't waste time worrying what your neighbor thinks. But here we are, 2,000 years later, still peeking over the digital fence to see if our neighbor's grass has a better filter. Socrates? He had nothing but a toga and sandals, and he still asked more real questions in a day than most people do in a lifetime of Instagram captions. We gotta wise up, fellas. All this performing for others, it ain't life, it's theater. And most of us are background extras in our own story. You wanna feel good? Don't chase approval, chase meaning. Chop your own wood. Teach your kid a beta hook. Call your mom on a Tuesday just because. That's real life. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a backyard, a grill, and enough gray in my beard to know that peace doesn't come from followers, it comes from quitting the race no one asked you to run.
All right, fellas, lean in, because old Jack's got another story for you. And this one, it's about a guy named Mike. Not the kind of Mike you see in a shiny suit working Wall Street. Nah, this Mike pulls graveyard shifts as a security guard at the local supermarket. High blood pressure, a crumbling marriage, hanging on by the thread of a shared mortgage, and more emotional baggage than a Delta baggage claim at Thanksgiving. So one day, Mike texts me. He's posted a selfie, you know, the old bathroom mirror classic. Squinting into the phone, trying to look casual, but with that faint, "Am I okay?" behind the eyes. 3 likes. His mom, God bless her, some random bot account, and his old classmate, Kenny, who peaked in 10th grade and now sells essential oils from his garage. Then Mike hits me with, "You think I should delete it? Is it dumb?" Buddy, you don't need to delete the photo. You need to reboot the whole operating system. You're a grown man. You've got kids, a job, a wife, sorta, and enough stress to power a nuclear plant. And yet here you are, letting Kenny from 10th grade woodshop determine your sense of worth. Let that sink in. Kenny, the guy who wore Crocs to prom. It's like you're on a leash, made of Wi-Fi signals and pixelated thumbs-up emojis. People tug at you with their opinions. Why are you wearing that? You're too old for TikTok. Is that a selfie? Meanwhile, they're sitting on their own collapsing lives, tossing stones from a glass trailer park. You think Marcus Aurelius gave a hoot what the senators said about his toga? Heck no. He wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." That right there, that's a 1,000-year-old mic drop. Now, take Cato. Not the Marvel villain. I'm talking Cato the younger, real deal Roman senator with a spine of steel. Guy deliberately wore shabby clothes to train himself not to care what others thought. And folks would whisper behind his back like he just walked into the Colosseum wearing Crocs. Did he flinch? Nope. He'd just adjust his ragged tunic and keep marching like he owned the place. And Diogenes? That mad genius lived in a frickin' barrel. A barrel, boys. He used to stroll around Athens in broad daylight with a lantern, saying, "I'm looking for an honest man." Meanwhile, he was trolling society before the internet was a thing. Alexander the Great once asked him, "What can I do for you?" And Diogenes said, "Yeah, move out of my sunlight." That's not just bold, that's philosophical swagger. You see what I'm saying? These guys weren't just thinkers, they were doers, rebels with a cause to live on their own terms. They didn't chase claps, they didn't refresh their scroll to see who saw their tuna sandwich pic. And here we are, thousands of years later, sweating over whether someone double-tapped our tuna sandwich pic. You want to be free? Then stop letting people rent space in your head for free. Heck, start charging tolls if they want to cross the bridge into your self-worth. So next time you're about to hit delete on a selfie, stop and ask yourself, would Cato delete this photo? Would Diogenes care what Brenda from accounting thinks of his beard? Nope, they'd post it, prop their feet up, and go enjoy their olives.
You ever stop and really think about whose opinion is tying you up in knots? I mean, pause the scroll, shut off the noise, and get honest with yourself. You out here worried sick about whether Linda from HR thinks your new haircut makes you look too alternative. Or maybe you're losing sleep over the fact that Dale from next door didn't like your camping photo. Dale, the same guy who thinks The Matrix was a documentary. Look, if you're letting the judgment of a person who's been posting wolf memes with captions like "Real ones walk alone" and wine glass selfies that say "Only the strong survive" affect your self-worth, then brother, it's time to recalibrate. That's lesson 1. Be very choosy about whose opinion you give a backstage pass to your brain. As Marcus Aurelius said, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject. And the subject, my friend, is you. If these folks haven't walked a mile in your muddy boots, what business do they have telling you how to live? Now, lesson 2. Start doing things because you want to. Not because they'll rack up likes or because your imaginary audience is waiting with bated breath. You want to build a model train city in your basement? Build it. Paint the mountains, glue the tiny trees, go full Lord of the Rails mode. You feel like rewatching cartoons from your childhood in your pajama pants while eating cold pizza at 2 p.m.? Heck yes! That's not regression, that's spiritual repair. Seneca, the Roman with a philosopher's brain and a gladiator's guts, once said, "What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." That's it. That's the gold right there. Life ain't about becoming someone for others. It's about remembering who the heck you are underneath the mask. And here's the final bit, the secret sauce. Learn to say no. You say no, people will squint at you. They'll whisper, "You've changed." To which you say, Darn right I have. I'm growing. People clinging to the past version of you are like folks showing up at Blockbuster asking for a Netflix password. They don't get it, and that's okay. Epictetus, the Rocky Balboa of Stoic thought, said, "If you want to be free, then learn to live as you wish, not as others expect." Freedom, real freedom, isn't about money or early retirement or living in a van in the desert with a ukulele. It's about waking up and not hearing a courtroom in your head. Not looking at your shirt and thinking, will this make me look cool? But asking, will I feel like me in this today? True freedom is when you go to bed at night and say, today I lived how I wanted. I wasn't a puppet. I wasn't a performance. I was real. And let me tell you, that sleep hits different. All that social approval, likes, hearts, claps, that's candy wrapper stuff. You can chew it all you want, but it won't fill you up. The real meal is meaning. And meaning doesn't come from being seen, it comes from seeing yourself clearly and being okay with the view. So tomorrow morning, before you post, before you explain yourself to anyone, before you ask, what will they think? Take a beat and ask instead, what do I think? Can I respect that guy in the mirror? If the answer's yes, then you've already won.